Everyone, welcome back to a tech news short. I'm going to be doing these every once in a while. This is the first one. It's not as elaborate as Gamers Nexus. If you want to get additional information, you should do that with regard to processors, heat, and things such as that. You can also look for new items that are going to come through Linus Tech. And I also do look at Gamers Meld because the information he sometimes gets to you is leaked information. It's good for the future when you're preparing for future builds. So I'm going to try making this as short as possible. Even though I was tasked to make this Plex server, I had to consider why we were using the 10850K. 10850K had come in about a year ago. It looks like it was a stopgap measure with regard to the shortages that were coming with the i9 10900K. And if you go back and you look at some of Gamers Nexus information on that, it'll explain why the 850K came out. Initially, even though these things came out as a stopgap measure, Steve properly at Gamers Nexus identified that these things were priced almost the equivalent of what your i900 or i10900Ks were, and they had about 100 megahertz less. The 10850K was really just basically a ratchet down version of the 10900K. Steve indicated that these things are basically the same thing. The reason why I wanted to go with this, even though they're ratcheted down, is because that was then and this is now. Currently, these things are going on eBay for between $250 and $350. So they make a very good option for an individual that's looking to do something along the lines of building a Plex server, which does require a lot of CPU throughput and power, and also because they're reasonable and you're getting your 20 threads, which if you might be wondering, why not just use a Threadripper? Threadrippers the motherboards are what's killing you on eBay. You can't find them for anything less than about $200-300. So you're spending an awful lot on that, and where you can find a relatively easy 10th gen 1200 LGA motherboard for roughly about $75. It just doesn't make any sense putting it out there. Moreover, I think in the end, when you look at the power that these things are putting out at nearly 5 gigahertz per core, or at least at one core, that trumps the first generation Threadripper. Even the 1950X, which I've built before and I put in there, it was a really nice processor, but not something that you want to put into in a modern Plex server. So anyways, I agreed with this individual, decided we'd make this Plex server. And you know, the good thing about this is, you know, the market is really in favor of these CPUs going down. Everyone is anticipating Alder Lake coming out, so you're looking at your 12th gen CPUs that are going to coming out here in the next few months, probably beginning of the next year. So all those things are going to be impacting people buying and people selling, and most importantly for those people like me who are on eBay selling or buying for these systems, especially because a lot of these are lightly used. They have been only used for a year, if that, and people are dumping immediately because they know that there's going to be a brand new LGA, and I believe it's a 1700 LGA 1700, so it's going to be a brand new motherboard, brand new chipsets. And so you've got a 10th gen, 2 generations old, and these processors were, quite frankly, were just overpriced. So, but they still are great. And so for the systems that we are building, they make a lot of sense, especially at the reduction that they're getting. Anyways, that's the reason why I bring this particular warning. There are sellers currently who are taking advantage of this new enthusiast buying spree, if you will, looking for these CPUs, and they're specifically using this processor. The issue that we have is they don't actually have the processor. They're going to take a photo that they have someplace and they're putting it online. When they list them, they put a very low reserve rate, and people are going out there and bidding up. In one instance, and what will happen is this is going to be 2 segments. I'm going to go back to the computer and I'm going to show you what happened actually on eBay. What you need to know right now is that they have somehow, a lot of these people, either in Russian Federation or in Southeast Asia, have found out a way to hack into UPS's servers where those tracking codes are being held and or being used. And those tracking codes then are given to the purchaser, and in anticipation that that individual will be paying, and then by the time it gets back to them, it's already game over. The payment's already gone through. I think they're either taking advantage of the eBay protection or the UPS, because the item does land there, but the driver can confirm that it did not make it to the house, and the processor was never actually sent there. I had an experience where the processor was purchased. It was a reasonable amount, about $284. The tracking number was sent after a request for immediate payment was made. I tracked it from Washington, and then it went all the way through to Kentucky, back over to Sioux Falls, then from Sioux Falls out to Rapid City, and then from Rapid City to Sturgis, South Dakota. And from Sturgis, South Dakota, it went up to Spearfish, where I live, and it was determined that it actually made its way to my house at 104 and said it was delivered. I was at work at the time. I expected it was going to be there. I got home, it wasn't there. Checked everywhere else. It took about almost 10 hours to figure out that no one had picked it up, and it wasn't accidentally misplaced, or no one took it off the door. Good thing is my house has a lot of tech in it, so I was able to see who came to the front door, and I was able to see who came to the back door. UPS only dropped one package off. It was a Melaleuca package, so that wasn't it. And then I was able to go back and check with the UPS driver, because I don't think these people understand that some of these small towns, we actually know our drivers. And Brian, our driver, was gracious enough to go talk with his guys at the upper echelon. They found out they'd come in. It was air-dropped the next day. Within less than 16 hours, it was on a truck, and it was to this address, but it didn't go to my address. It went to an individual who, after I was able to meet with him, was an extremely nice guy, and his wife was extremely nice. That package ended up at their doorstep, but it wasn't my package. It was their package that they had already ordered. What had happened was the seller used UPS information of current, actually active air next day delivery, and was able to give me the exact same tracking number in the same town that we lived. Used that person's address. They used my address as a delivery, even though that tracking number was given to me. I could not track it by the person's name. You had to go to the UPS to actually track it by the name of where it was delivered. And so after speaking with these individuals, they were gracious enough to give me a picture of theirs, and lo and behold, it was the exact same tracking number. In this screenshot, you're going to see what was sent to me with the tracking information. Now, the way this started was in the morning, around 1 p.m., the sale was completed. By about an hour later, the seller had emailed me, asked me if I was going to make payment. It was in the evening, 1 o'clock in the morning, going on to 2, so I was sleeping at the time. So when I got up at 7 o'clock, I just made preparations to make my payments. Payment came in the morning. Then I waited to see if I was going to get information on tracking. That finally came in about 6 hours later. That information showed this tracking number right here. What's unique about this one is UPS said that this spot right here, NW, is kind of a different, it's a different nomenclature inside of the tracking number, and apparently that indicates something I would find out later must be with regard to overnight and a special type of delivery. So then I became suspicious. So then I went back and investigated who GGOR-37 was. So I started investigating GGR, and this is who GGR was. Looks like a face that you might almost see in the Olympics or something. But I didn't see this initially. Now you can look this up when you are in eBay and traversing through these individuals, looking their profile up, and if you see Russian Federation, I'd just be concerned. Positive feedback. It looked like she had great positive feedback in the last 5 instances where she had purchased. In the last 6 months to 12 months, she had 6. And I looked at this as the buyer and then looked at the seller. As a seller, she had not sold anything, but she had done quite a few buying. Now, if you look down here, you'll see where all the payments had come through. Good jewelry. Those individuals are selling jewelry about $4 or $5 per. Add to your cart, and all these ones are Beauty Sunshine, things that are extremely inexpensive. And so this GGOR-37 was buying to make it look like she had a great profile. So when you are looking at purchasing from the eBay individuals, what I would recommend is that you look at not just the individual and where they located when you're banking your purchase, like I did, thinking it was out of Addison, Texas, but look at the profile and see if it indicates where her email comes from, or where the email of the seller comes from, because that is where you're going to see that they get where they might actually be from. So here, zoom. So not Addison, Texas, but actually she is from someplace else, obviously. Now, here's the funny thing. These things are really good because it says only U.S. buyers are allowed. She's got all the photos here, and it looks so legitimate. And you think, okay, I'm going to get this. Standard shipping. This should have been a tip-off. As soon as I had, no one's going to pay for next day air. And as soon as I saw that it was going to be air delivered, and that's what was indicated in that tracking number, I should have realized that this individual was basically a scammer. And original estimated delivery date was between August 26th and August 31st, and that would have made sense if it was coming from Texas, and if it was coming up standard UPS. Next day, they grabbed basically a UPS present and accurate and very much a valid tracking number and sent that to me in my hometown, which means that they would have had to break into UPS to grab those tracking numbers to know Spearfish, South Dakota is not one of those places like you could just guess that this is where it's going to end up at. Not a lot of commerce going on in Spearfish compared to some place like Chicago or LA. So if you're looking at avoiding these kinds of scams, what I would recommend is, number one, look at the profile, look at the sales. If they are not selling tech or have not sold tech and you're buying tech, don't buy from them. Unless you're looking at their buying, and let's say they're getting back into this, they want to do what everyone else is doing, making a few dollars, and they're buying up tech. If they got a lot of buys in tech, and one of those items or something similar to that is being sold, even if they don't have a sale, you might want to risk it. But if you see Russian Federation or anywhere else, then I would be very hesitant to buy from them. So that's going to be the warning. I sent up the information to UPS through their guys, Brian, my driver, and hopefully they get this. Hopefully someone from UPS sees this video. Someone in eBay should be clearly here, because this is clearly basically protected by the eBay service money back guarantee right here, and return policy. So they're taking advantage of this, and or the insurance from UPS. When that package is said to be delivered and a claim is filed, it's clear that the driver can't say, I did not deliver that package. Only one package being delivered, that was the one that was intended to be there in the first place. And so the UPS and you will be up in litigation quite some time, thinking that you were supposed to be have something delivered and it was not delivered. So with that, I'm going to cut this down. I think that should be about 10 minutes. Thank you again. Bye.